Welcome once again to another edition of Holden Main Street, Texas Lutheran University Special Edition. I have four wonderful and lovely souls with me right now. One or two may filter in later, but let's begin by introducing yourselves. Let's go with names, what you've studied at TLU, or what position you hold at the university, and one of your favorite things.
I'm Jenny Smith. I just graduated with degrees in philosophy and theology, and I would say one of my favorite things is the person next to me, Katie.
You must be so proud.
I'm Katie Copeland. I just graduated with a degree in psychology, and one of my favorite things is my friends.
My name is Lauren Shook, and I teach at Texas Lutheran. I teach literature and writing. One of my favorite things right now is my little black kitten named Coop.
My name is Kelly Schiefelbein, and I am a staff person at Texas Lutheran University, and I took Lauren Shook's class on African American literature to come on this Holden trip. And I would say my favorite thing are my two daughters.
All of you are naturals. And my name is Dev. I've been in the village for about 2 months now, and I'll be staying for another year. And podcasting is one of my favorite things to do at the village, because then I get to laugh and banter and just have wonderful conversations with individuals like yourself. So, okay, now that we have tea at your fingertips, feel free to just drink at your leisure. I will continue to fill your cup. Slurping is highly recommended for those that have always wanted to slurp, but were afraid because you live in a Western society.
ASMR time.
So, as such, yes. So, how has your Holden experience been? What are the highlights?
Honestly, just being in community with these other 10 people, but Jenny and I have had some really fun experiences.
Yes, we have.
In the cafeteria.
Oh, yes. Would you like to go into more depth
Elaborate.
about what that means?
Why don't you elaborate?
No, I think you should.
Well, the first day I assisted Jenny in making flour, gluten-free flour.
Like a mix for the gluten-free bread, yeah.
And we had a scale, but we didn't realize how to use the scale. And so we guesstimated with cups and other measuring
And our very good
things.
math skills.
And our very good math
I found out
skills.
we both have very good math skills.
And then today we made molasses cookies. They were very good.
Those were incredible.
They were very good, but we did
Delicious.
have some fun
Oh, yes, we
doing
did.
that.
That's wonderful. You know, they should teach math using just like recipes.
Yeah,
Like, I feel like that'd be a good thing.
I would want to learn it.
that would have been very helpful. I don't know what was it? Like invisible number or something?
Imaginary numbers.
Imaginary numbers. I don't know why we learned that. But
right.
if you had taught me how to like
Where's the baking
convert
number? Yeah.
stuff in baking, that would have turned out to be helpful.
Yeah, I think my favorite part has really been bonding with Kathleen Sill, who's also on our trip.
Wonderful.
And I think that's gonna be a really good friendship after we leave here. And part of that has included going up to, what was it, that trail we went on?
Heart
That's a
Lake.
Heart Lake.
I've never felt more calm about going over a waterfall that I could have slipped to my death on and having Kathleen Sill be like, just step here, here, and here. I was like, okay. And then we jumped in the lake together, and that was really nice too.
It's not every day we have a geographer to take
I
us on a
know.
10-mile hike.
I was
Yeah,
like, if
that's
Kathleen
great.
is getting in that lake, I'm getting in that lake too. Why she would. So that's been really cool.
That's great.
Yeah.
You're so fearless too.
I know.
So proud of you.
Let me videotape the whole thing too.
Yeah, wonderful. Lots of very loud expletives at the end of that, jumping into the lake.
That's all part of the experience.
Fun faces too. For everyone.
I think my favorite parts have been just kind of getting to know the group that we have with us here. Like whenever we have our sit down in a circle, just chat times and do our like roses and thorns of the day. But then also just getting to know like the community members here. As soon as I got here, I was like, oh, I want to stay and I want to come back.
And you are welcome to.
I would love to. And so just like everyone's just so kind and welcoming. I mean, here we are.
Here we are.
Having tea.
Having tea.
And fun.
Yeah, and I went to the Monsters and Fairies party and for the record. Everyone's just so inviting and it's just so easy to like make friends here, which is really nice.
Yeah, the people we brought and the people here have just been like the highlight for sure. I know for me, like, I've been meditating by myself for over a year, so being able to sit with other people has been like the highlight of my trip, especially like extending my practice to an hour. That's been just like so helpful for me. So that's probably my favorite thing so far.
We were talking a little bit about, what did you say? It was like wildness, unfettered wildness, or...
Oh, feral joy.
Feral joy.
I was checking Maggie Rogers.
I love that. There was a comic cartoon.
The wild
Monkey.
thornberries.
Yes.
Oh, there we go.
Wild
The
thornberries.
wild thornberries.
I could picture it in my head.
They were on
Oh my
safari.
gosh,
I can't.
yes. And the monkey was the refined one, and then the little boy was the goof,
Oh, like
the goofy.
Tarzan type
Yeah,
one, yeah.
but that reminded me of Feral Joy.
Yeah, very much like Animal from the Muppets.
Right,
Yes.
yes. Exactly.
Animal. He was the best one, in my opinion. My humble opinion.
Well, you said you were a percussionist.
I had drumsticks that had him all.
Oh,
in them.
okay,
Yeah.
great.
Really?
Yeah.
For the homies.
Yeah, I
want to feed the teapot.
Yeah. Who are you feeding it for?
Joy.
Joy. I just poured for Joy.
Oh.
Joy gets tea today. What are some moments where you guys like would resonate with the term feral joy?
Improvised theater, like when that came into my life, that helped me overcome a lot of timidity that I had. Being able to play with people on stage and create a story in the moment, that would be some feral joy. Also ping pong.
Ooh.
Oh my god.
Table tennis?
Yeah, I go crazy on the court and yeah. Which I don't know if any of you know, but Texas is like one of the leading states for table tennis. You knew that? Okay.
Because my mother-in-law likes ping pong, and she knew that.
She knew that. Oh, okay. Well, I need to meet this person.
Have you revealed to the podcast that you're a champion at this?
Oh, the podcast knows.
Oh,
Yes,
the podcast is
yes. I love that we've now personified the microphone and the podcast. Excellent.
Is there a ping pong table in
There
the
is.
village?
There's a
There are
pool
pool
hall,
halls.
and at the very end is the ping pong table.
Yeah,
So
I
if
wanna
any
go.
of you just want to play, even just amongst yourselves or with me, like that can happen.
Will you go easy on us?
Of course, of course.
No, he would not.
I'm super
not.
chill.
Yeah. There's no competitiveness in you.
No, right? See?
Never. Only if there was air hockey.
You know, you can put on the list. There's a list of like all the things that people want in the village. It's a very long list, so we can put air
I
hockey
started
on the
racing
list.
there as an adult.
Totally.
It's like air hockey 5 times.
What do you
See,
know?
everyone wants
Wants it.
Everyone wants air hockey in the village. See?
Change
Duh.
handwriting.
Now, what are these two pots for?
So we are having 2 different types.
Oh.
Yes, we're getting spunky.
Ooh, spunky and spoiled.
Yeah.
No, I can't wait to go home and talk about this.
I can't believe Kathleen's not here.
I know.
No.
Should we pour one for Kathleen?
Yeah, pour on
Yeah, I
it. Here
feel
we
like
go.
It wants
There-
to Kathleen.
Here we go, Kathleen.
She wanted to be. She was excited.
It's amazing that we're pouring one for someone in the village right
She's
now.
not far.
Yeah, right.
She's also not dead. I know the way you just said that made it seem like she's actually not. Kathleen is alive and well.
She's like 50 feet away.
I know.
Right, yeah.
I can only see her from
No,
the
right.
window.
Oh, that's great. So I answered first. So there's a question on the table. When do y'all feel feral joy?
Don't take my answer, Katie.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll try not to.
Okay.
I kind of relate to yours. Well, I've never done like proper improv,
Mm-hmm.
but
Bits.
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 Whenever I'm with like
Bits.
my family and friends, like
That's a gasp.
we just it's always different how it starts, but a joke comes up and then it just becomes a bit. And so like last
Yes.
summer,
This was a good bit.
We were in Michigan in the middle of the woods, and we started doing this bit as if we were like filming a movie. And so we would have like an invisible camera, and we had these lines. There was a script for this bit.
Because it's crazy out there.
Yeah.
Which was one of our favorite lines.
The punchline was it's crazy out there. And it's always just so funny because it's so random and silly, and just being able to like fall into a character or a new bit with people is just like, you feel so much feral joy because you can just really be yourself and just be goofy. Love a good bit.
I love a good bit, yeah.
I mean, you're essentially describing improv
Exactly,
in so many ways, yeah. So that's great.
I think for me, one of my favorite things ever has just been like anytime it starts raining really heavy, I just force anyone who's with me to go outside and like play in the rain. And it's just been like something that's brought me so much joy because people really get feral when it's raining. We just start running in the streets and like acting a mess and like jumping in things, and it makes us like literally like pray for rain. One of my favorite memories is it started hailing, actually. We probably shouldn't have been outside.
Says who?
Well, the tornado warning said we shouldn't have been outside.
I've never seen a tornado in that town.
Me either. So we went to the river.
Famous last words.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll die.
It's like taking her out.
Yeah.
But me and Katie went to the river and we're just like playing in the river while it was like hailing and raining really hard and just like goofing around. And I know that was one of my favorite memories from last year for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe ever.
Yeah, me too.
Maybe I shouldn't contain it to last year. That was just a good memory.
Yeah, that is a cool feral joy because just us experiencing that after Vespers, there was
so
a rain.
beautiful,
It was so wonderful just being in the rain.
And the song we sang that night was just like so fit. It just like felt very
everything
fitting.
was just, it did feel spiritual.
Yeah.
I think my feral joy might be my time on Wednesday nights at CrossFit. There's a group of us who do barbell. It's called barbell class. Most of the time it's just us women in there, and our coach is like this really badass, strong woman. I watched that woman deadlift 275 pounds. It's so cool because you've got a group of women that's like, if you're scared of the bar, they're just like, no, like tackle it like it owes you money. Like, you know, it's
That's awesome.
when I leave out of there, I'm like, I'm a badass.
You
Oh
are
yeah,
feral.
hell yeah, you are.
And
Definitely.
actually, shout out to Coach T if you listen.
Hey, Coach T!
Because after every session, she always says, "Now go home and brag to KP." That's my wife.
Kathleen just walked in.
Hey! Our
just talking about
T-Pet
you.
came true.
See? Ask and you shall receive.
We put some tea out for you.
Okay.
She's like, good for
Our
you.
affections are not returned.
No, he said that was a T-Pet, and that if we wished anyone were with us, we could pour some tea out.
So we poured some tea for you.
Oh,
Katie,
all
Katie
did.
mentioned you, and then we all
were
poured
like,
tea on there.
Tea for Kathleen.
oh, how nice.
We were talking about you like we were dead. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I then had to clarify to the podcast that like you are alive and well because I was like, actually, wait a minute. That sounded a little.
That's okay. I was dying.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow. I love that.
That's a nice
Resurrected
one.
with color.
The literature professor
Approves.
approves. We were talking about feral joy.
Yeah, time on the Appalachian Trail. You know when you're young and you don't feel like the weight of job and family and bills and all that, and you're just like, I just love this. And I don't have anything to worry about today. When you're hiking the trail like we did the other day, it was like, this is our job today. This is all we have to do, you know? And it's a fun job. you know?
Yeah, that's how I felt today when we were putting up the shade sails.
Yes.
Um,
Which you all did a wonderful job at.
thank you.
Yes.
It was just so fun. Like, it was hard work, but it was a lot of problem solving because it wasn't going exactly as planned. And we kept having to like move them and tighten and loosen like all the cords, but then they're up and it's like everyone is talking about how much they enjoy them and it's so fun.
Oh, I felt that today too because like when the kids came running in, they were like, cookies, cookies, oh my goodness,
Yes,
cookies, and I was
yes.
like, Me and Kelly did that. Yeah. We provided joy today.
Yes.
That was our job, and we provided.
Everybody enjoyed them because they're
Yes.
gone now. Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, the cookie break was definitely one of the best parts of my day.
Yeah.
I'm not a big sweets person in general, but like especially cookies. I don't really like cookies, but I love molasses cookies so much. And so when I heard it was molasses, I ran straight over there and I was like, yes.
And my grandmother used to always make sugar cookies, but she did it as easy as possible. And so she would pour sugar on top of her sugar cookies, and that was her decoration. And so when we were dunking the molasses dough in the sugar and then putting it on the tray, that reminded me of my grandmother and thinking I remember her pulling those out, and that was the best cookie in the world.
There's a really lovely quote by the British historian, Black. He's got this moment in one of his writings where he says, "I am the sugar at the bottom of the tea glass." And it's just like,
I love that.
like that is
That
like,
is-
Sugar.
yeah.
but
That
it's
would
like
be
recognizing like the kind of colonial project that was tea and
Yes.
sugar, and he's like,
So much
okay,
of
like you can enjoy your tea, but I'm the sugar at the bottom of that tea. Like, don't forget, this is the labor that went into something that's giving other people joy.
And that's so
Right.
powerful.
What are you individually most passionate about when it comes to social issues or environmental or whatnot?
Mine is food insecurity. So I've been interested in learning solutions to food insecurity to make sure that people have food and nutritious food. Like, I've been interested in that for close to 10 years now, and I teach it on college campuses. I'm writing a book about it, and I think being here is like, I know the importance of good nutritious food, but then like being here and seeing everything made from scratch, and you make sure that everyone has enough here. It's a beautiful thing. I'm just like, can we just make the United States more communal?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, sounds good to me. Lauren, can I ask you to nerd out a little more? How is that connected to Shakespeare?
Yeah, we want to know what you're writing.
Yeah, can you talk about what you're writing?
I shouldn't have shared that last night.
Please do.
When I started working in my church's community garden, like probably a decade ago, I had just graduated with my PhD in Renaissance Studies, English Studies, and was not really interested in like pursuing career in literary studies. Like, I wanted to be doing something like social justice oriented things, and I was up for teaching a Shakespeare class and coming up in the fall, and I was like, let's see how food and Shakespeare fit together, because there's a lot of people that do that.
That's awesome.
And so I just put some plays on the syllabus and just kind of carefully read through some stuff, and what I've come to find out is that the harvest would fail, there would get maybe too much rain, and so, that was bad. There were people who were greedy and would store all their corn or their grain and like raise up the prices in hopes that folks would pay more so that they could profit. I have to remind myself when I'm working on this, like, there were people who died of starvation, the poor. Shakespeare uses hunger as both a metaphor and in very literal ways to tie together some of his plots. So I'm looking at these moments where he's using hunger, food scarcity, and then connecting those to like the material conditions of England at that time. The book title is A Place at Shakespeare's Table.
Oh,
That's
Very
awesome.
nice.
Yeah.
I'll talk about what my class was about for coming to Holden Village. We were looking at connection to nature, and that's something I'm really passionate about. It betters stewardship of the environment. If you place value in it, if it gives you something, you want to give something back, you share that with people. And people's experience in nature can make a huge difference in their overall lives. Stress reduction, anxiety reduction, things of that nature. And my research has largely been focused on folks that go into the wilderness for a longer period of time, like on the Appalachian Trail, which is 2,000 or so miles from Georgia to Maine, or the Pacific Crest Trail, which is only about 12 miles from here.
You can definitely access it here. It's
Yeah.
a beautiful part of that trail.
You're out there for a while. You have left normal life behind, right? You've packed up your apartment. You've put everything that you own on your back, and you walk for months. And along the way, you meet people, and they're doing the same thing. And there is a great sense of community on the trail, even if you're not with those people every single day. Like, it turns out after, talking to a lot of through hikers, that's the folks that walk it in one season, that what they found was a connection to nature, a connection to community, even though it's what we call liminal community. Like, it's not a community that's going to be permanent. It's short term. It's also a linear community because you're walking a path, right? But some of the biggest takeaways from talking to hikers that had been out there months and months on end was things like, it re-established my faith in humanity. Because there's things that happen on the trail, they're called trail magic. Like, you're walking down, it's a hot day, and all of a sudden you come across a cooler of ice and cold sodas, or homemade cookies, or something like that, right? Or you break a piece of equipment and another hiker offers you one. And that time away from cars and jobs and responsibilities of that nature and those like social connections you have in normal everyday like work life, you leave those behind and you're just part of this community that just, like we were just talking about on the hike, like your only job is to hike today. That's it, get from point A to point B, but all along the way you're seeing these nice acts of kindness and you're hearing things in nature and you're experiencing things. All the senses are working. And like some of the hikers said when they got off the trail, it was so hard not to have like air movement if they were indoors. And like elements of nature that you don't normally, even if you're in and out of your car to work or the grocery store or wherever, like you're not aware of them like you are in nature. And like that helps them. They get off the trail and they're better people. A lot of them completely minimize their lives. Like they said, I lived for 6 months with everything on my back. I can still do that at home, like I don't need all this stuff. And they literally do. They curb down their belongings. Their work is more meaningful. They leave more time for outdoors time, connecting, social time, like all those things. And work is just like, it has to be done, but it's like, that's not the big nugget out of every day, There's all these other things. And I think nature allows them to experience that and figure it out. And a lot of the people that hike those trails are younger, like your all's age, early 20s. Or people that are retiring and have to reconfigure their lives. And it's just, nature is the biggest element in that story. The setting is. So that's my passion. I want to make sure that people appreciate what's out there, because if you appreciate it, you'll protect it. If you know it can help you, it can help other people. And that's my passion.
I know you spoke to some things that I'm kind of going through because I'm reaching retirement. So I'm trying to figure out what does that mean for me. But I know that a big piece of that has always been service. And hospice has always been a big part of my life up until the last several years of my life. And death is just something that helping people in those end of life times, that's something that I'm passionate about.
You got words, Katie Copeland?
I'd say my passions are about the field of positive psychology, which is a branch of psychology focused on helping people flourish. Positive psychology is like focused on like the theory of well-being, which is has like 5 aspects, and that's positive emotion, engagement, relationships, motivation, and achievement. And those are like the 5 aspects of well-being. So it's not just like being happy, it's cultivating all of those things, and that's like what makes people flourish. So kind of just like understanding people and myself and helping people get to that point is what I am most interested in.
I know for me, like, education reform is like a huge thing for me. Like, I think learning is like the most beautiful thing in the world, but the institution that we have like built around it is pretty damaging, at least in my experience. And so like I love what I study so much, and I just want better practices and pedagogy around that. And so that's what I'm passionate about, learning about how to make that more accessible to more people.
I actually like to end on a story. we'll create a story like one sentence at a time. There's no pressure. We're all friends here. And ultimately, we're just here to laugh and be creative together. So someone give me an object and a feeling.
Balloons, exuberant.
So once there was a balloon named Rebecca, and she was about to embark on a pilgrimage to a very specific lake. What happens next?
Well, this balloon was pretty worried because the trees, they're sharp. And it was kind of a long hike to get to this lake. And so she knew that she had to kind of like wrap herself up, but then that kind of weighs her down. So she didn't really know what to do next.
Thankfully, she was married to Helium. So she bubble wrapped up and she was weighed down, but her partner Helium gave her some extra support and sent her off on her journey.
And up she rose, up above the pine trees. As she looked down, she saw a strange black object in a pine tree. And then she heard branches breaking.
She thought, things do not fly up, except for balloons and honeybees. Except for that one bear that loved honey, who wrapped himself up with a balloon. And so as it was coming up the tree, it sounded like...
You got a bear in a balloon. That's great.
And as Rebecca saw the bear that loved the honey grabbing the tail, they both gently glided ever so slowly, missing the pine trees, gently swaying back and forth until they saw very closely the lake right below them.
And at this lake, it turns out there was an abundance of honey, an abundance of helium as well. And so this became thus a sacred pilgrimage site. Every year at the summer solstice, animals and individuals of all kinds just come to this lake and they eat honey, they dance with bears, they grab onto a balloon, and then they just lift up into space. Boom. Boom, boom, boom.
Love it.
Wow. Y'all are naturals. This is great. And yeah.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you so much.
Thank you.
Of course, of course.